So, Mark Sidious, we're going to open up Rule of Two on a little bit of a somber note because I just want to send well wishes. John Williams has been hospitalized with an illness. That's all we know right now.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
I saw that on Twitter, and I immediately kind of reacted and went, nope, 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 nope.
Yeah.
But all we know is right now he went to London to conduct and do a show, and that he fell ill, and now he's in the hospital. So the legacy that is John Williams, I mean, that just not even the fact that the guy came up with Superman, the Superman theme, Jurassic Park, Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark, all the greats.
I mean, he's synonymous with filmmaking. He's synonymous with movies, synonymous with greatness. He's synonymous with every positive adjective that you can give an artist. John Williams is synonymous with it.
Yep.
And, of course, you know, we don't know anything, so we're not going to say anything.
Yeah.
We do know he's ill.
We do know he's ill. That can mean anything.
And we do know that we wish him well, and we'll be keeping a very close eye on this and sending good vibes.
And absolutely sending vibes. And the reason I brought this up is, you know, somebody hit me up on Twitter the other day, and they said, can you imagine if the Star Wars movies did what like Flash Gordon did, and they brought in an artist like Queen to score a movie? And they said, wouldn't that have been wild if like I believe they used Journey, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Journey to like do what Queen did, but for Star Wars. It is my belief, 100%, that we wouldn't be talking about Star Wars today if anybody else did the music for Star Wars. What do you think of that? Can you imagine a movie without that John Williams score?
So first of all, it's hard for me to believe that off from a sort of a knee-jerk reaction, but the more I sit on it, the more I think about it. You know, look, I've been fairly vocal about my feelings towards the sequels. But one thing that I think the sequels have knocked out of the park is the music.
Oh, God, yes.
The music in The Force Awakens and the music in The Last Jedi are both incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just incredible pieces, you know. So you look, you might have a point there, right? I mean, if they would have brought in a band or a Hans Zimmer or, you know, one of the Angelo Badalamenti or one of the guys that was a little bit more popular back in those days, Ennio Morricone.
Yeah,
you know,
Morricone is great.
Somebody like that.
Nino Rota, who did The Godfather.
Right,
you know.
Look, I do think that George Lucas did have a vision for the way that music plays into the film. But look, it's one of those things that you can't even, you know, do Monday morning quarterback on, because John Williams is Star Wars kind of, right? It's like there's Lucas and there's John Williams. It's like they're almost on par with each other in how important they are to the franchise. So I don't even want to think about it. Because
I don't either. That's why we're giving him praise and wishing him well, because he's going to be fine. We're going to get more Star Wars music. We're going to get more music from the maestro because he is the greatest. We're wishing you well, John Williams. Get better. And this is Rule of Two, Episode 12. Hello, welcome to Rule of Two. This is Episode 12 of the official Jedi Council spin-off show on the Podcast One feed. I'm your host, Mark Riley, or Darth Ryles, joined as always by Mark Sidious, a.k.a. Mark Fernandez. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Look, I got to admit that I'm still have some lingering jet lag.
I know. You know, everybody was very impressed, though, with you're able to just wax philosophical as you always do on jet lag or not.
Yeah. Look, one thing, I think a little housekeeping that we need to do.
Oh, let's do some housekeeping. I think I know where you're going.
We got a lot, you know, not a lot, to be honest with you. It's like kind of like the vocal minority, but
sure.
And it's a fair point. Okay, you know, so that's why I want to address it at the top here, do a little housekeeping. We were having a discussion last week, and as we do, we get sort of into our discussions and a little bit, you know, riled up, and we missed some facts, you know?
Yeah, we did.
And we missed one fact about, you know, whether or not Ahsoka was alive or not alive at the end of Rebels to see if she could somehow play into the timeline that we were conjecturing on. Now, I felt that she was alive. Mm-hmm. You felt that maybe she wasn't. In any case, we both didn't know.
We didn't know. Right.
Okay?
Right.
And I think it's okay not to 100% know everything about Star Wars. Okay?
No, and
still love it is my point.
And
still be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And still have people to enjoy what it is that we have to say about it.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Well, we made the kind of disclaimer that, if you want the canon junkies, if you really want to go into the deep dives of like Rebels, Clone Wars, the books, the comics, including the movies.
Yeah.
There's a great show called Jedi Council.
It's a great show.
And
they do fact check. They have all their things.
And they know it because they devour this stuff. This show has always been, you and I are movie guys.
Yeah.
We love the movies. We maybe not like the
video
movies.
Games too. For me
video
anyway.
Games, yeah. I tend to fall behind on some of the video games lately, but it's the thing. Of course, everybody pointed out, yes, that Ahsoka did live, and I remember now seeing that. It was like in the moment, though, I couldn't remember.
I got like 15 screenshots of her alive.
Yeah,
and look, I appreciate it. I actually appreciate the fans or the listeners being a participatory element of our show.
Yeah.
and joining the discussion. So if we ask each other, was she alive? Was she not alive? And you answer it for us, then the model works.
Yeah. And we go, oh, yeah, great, thank you.
But look, the one thing I will take issue with, and I'm not, this isn't a defensive statement or anything, but the sort of the fallacy that two people can have a fun, productive discussion that brings forth even potential insights about stuff because they don't know all the facts about every single little piece of canon that's out there, especially canon that's outside of the films. I just don't think it's true.
I'm with you.
It's elitist. It's not inclusionary. And for us, this show to me, like after doing 12 episodes now, really thinking about it, it's really about how Star Wars influences our personal philosophy on life.
God, yes.
Right? I mean,
yes.
that's basically what we're doing here. It's like, how did these beautiful lessons and this great myth influence our beautiful life in this weird ride that we're on?
Yeah.
And that's what makes Star Wars special to me. So
yeah, I'm with you. I couldn't say it better. I mean, we're in a kind of a gotcha culture.
Yeah.
Where you get one fact wrong and
Gotcha.
Gotcha, you're wrong. You like, how dare you?
Gotcha.
Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's like,
do you remember that movie Gotcha?
The paintball gun.
Oh God, what a great movie!
Holy
Remember
shit.
that movie Gotcha?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so this is the new show, all on the making of Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh
First
my
of all,
God, that movie.
if you guys haven't seen that movie, it is a lot of fun.
That is.
I forget who the star was on it.
I want to say it's Matthew Modine, but I don't know.
No.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. Little side adventure here as we look up Gotcha, the movie.
Great movie.
1985 film. Here we go. I got it right here. Oh my God, I can't believe that. Oh my God, who is that guy? It's not. Oh wait, it's Anthony Edwards. I want to say.
Is it? No. He's
Anthony Edwards?
I think he's in it. Is he in it?
I remember. Gotcha. Anthony Edwards. Oh my God. So
yeah.
Yep, I remember.
Okay, anyway,
this now.
So 1985 classic Gotcha. If you guys haven't seen it and you love doing the gotcha game on Twitter, watch this movie because it is a lot of fun. But anyway, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, no, but the gotcha culture.
The gotcha culture
is, let me just put it this way without being, defensive as well.
Yeah.
It's such a drag, man. It's like, I get it. Like, you want to go, you want to listen to a podcast, you want to listen to a brand that knows everything that you're talking about, and that's who we are. But we are also, to your point, like, we wax philosophical about the magic of Star Wars, how it affects our lives. We like to speculate. We know the movies inside and out. Sure.
Yeah.
Rebels, I did fall off on. That's why
I fell off on it too.
Yeah, that's why I lost
season
the
3.
end.
I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the storyline of Ezra having the sort of the battle with the dark side.
I loved all that.
And Darth Maul taking him under his wing and trying to actually seduce him, and the whole story with the Sith holocrons and all that stuff. That stuff to me was fascinating, but that was really the only plot line that I actually enjoyed in Rebels. You know, it's not for me.
Yeah, and I fell off it because I don't know. I mean, you know, it's hard to, you know, produce and write and do the things that we do here and have enough time to catch these things because knowing full well that, you know, Ken Knapsack and Christian Harloff are going to hit those points, I would have to go somewhere else and do, well, great, you got that. I got to go over here and do this. It is what it is. Apologies for not knowing it, look, I guess we could say.
First of all, fair enough. I do want to extend an apology for the hardcore fans who feel offended that we are being unprofessional by not having all of these details and facts. But I also want to say that there is a show for you on this very network called Jedi Council that doesn't make those kinds of mistakes.
Yeah.
But I also want to say that this show has the license to not be judged by us.
Right.
On that same criteria.
Yeah.
This is a show about Star Wars, our love for it, the movies, conjecture, and really how Star Wars influences our own personal philosophy.
That's the show right there. That's it in a nutshell. And if you want hardcore canon, they're live every day or every Thursday, 10 a.m. PST.
Tomorrow.
You can see Jedi Council. Tomorrow you can see it.
Ken Knapsack, Christian
Harloff, and somebody that you know from the Star Wars space. Yeah, the gotcha culture. Sure. You got us.
Yeah, like to quote the great Walter White. You got me.
That's right. You got me. Yeah, pull back. Pump the brakes, man. We're sorry.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, some people came in hot.
What do we have this week?
This week is interesting.
You know what? Okay, so that's a rhetorical question because I obviously know what we have this week. but I do want to ask you a question, sort of to segue off of what we just talked about. Have you seen Resistance?
No, I have not seen Resistance yet.
I haven't either.
Yeah. I know that gotcha. We just lost 10 people. They just went, well.
I haven't seen it yet. You know what? I like the animation style.
I really like the animation style. Yeah. I know a lot of people had problems with it, but I really dug it. Again, I know Christian got some early access, and I think he's
What's the
talking
vibe
about
with
it.
Christian and these guys? Are they into it?
I think he likes it. I want to say that he likes it, that it's definitely like finding its footing, that it's definitely kind of geared towards kids a little bit. But that he sees goodness in it, that he's liking it. Again, it's interesting what's going on right now. You know, let me get your take on this. It just made me think about this. Interesting what's going on right now with the canon offshoots, the TV show, the books, the comics. I'm not able to follow that much because of either it's work, it's, you know, time, you know, there are a lot of things that we do outside of work that require our attention.
I have a theory about this.
Okay. And I think I might be on the same page with you. Lay on this theory with me because I might. Yeah, I think I know where you're going.
So here's why I'm not loving the offshoots personally. Yeah. Okay, and it's that again, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but it all goes back to what I call the systemic and like I don't want to say it again and just rehash old things.
Sure.
But the focus of the ancillary content around Star Wars, if the movies themselves are trying to distance themselves from the hero and the Jedi and that sort of Jedi thing,
even
lightsabers, the Sith,
the
Sith, right? I mean, they've been completely obliterated.
Yeah,
like at least the Jedi survived the Purge, right? But the Sith didn't survive the Purge, right?
Where are the Sith? Yeah,
they became the Knights of Ren and whatever it is that Snoke is. If it's that obvious in the films, it's even more obvious in the offshoots to me.
Yeah.
With Rebels, and like I don't want to get too hard on Rebels because Rebels actually did focus on two Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, one that was just learning the ways of the Force, and one that was escaped Order 66 guy.
Yeah.
So so maybe what I'm saying is actually not altogether there, but with Resistance, I just have no interest in that story.
I'm with you. I'm trying to find interest in it.
Yeah,
and it's a time period that is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
takes place before Force Awakens. Now, I don't know if it's, maybe is it because it's geared a little bit more towards kids and that, the adults that love Star Wars that watch it are going to get into it, but I don't know what it is.
You know what's a good example, maybe? Just to riff, okay?
Yeah, let's riff.
Is CSI. Mm-hmm. Okay, so CSI started out as CSI with William Patterson. Mm-hmm. Now I'm careful about every single thing I say. We're just riffing here. Yeah. Gotcha. So William Patterson CSI took place in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then it became one of the most watched, successful shows on television. And they did an offshoot of it. Yeah. And the next offshoot was CSI in Miami.
Yeah, with David Carradine, right?
With David Carradine. I believe Miami came before CSI New York. Gotcha or not. I'm not sure, but anyway,
right.
It began to franchise itself, right? And that's what that means, right? Like when you franchise something, that means that you have franchise values, and then you replicate them in a different context, right? So you have something like McDonald's, right? And you want to franchise that. So you build basically McDonald's, but you build it in a different city. And you change the architecture of the buildings ever so slightly. You might even have different staff. Yep. You might even have a new menu item.
Yeah.
Right? Like you might have like a special barbecue sandwich if you're in Tennessee, or a fried chicken sandwich if you're like in the South, or whatever, right? But it's still McDonald's,
right?
Okay. Now with Star Wars, as Star Wars keeps franchising itself out, I think it's missing a little bit of that core. Yeah. Like even though Rebels, now that I think about it, I think Rebels was trying to keep that core, and then Rebels I think might have alienated some folks when it tried to replicate or hearken on the art style of the original Star Wars concept artist. I'm forgetting his name right now.
Oh yeah, Ralph McQuarrie. I know what you're talking about.
Ralph McQuarrie, right? This ultra thin lightsabers. I've heard a lot of complaints about that.
Wow,
the sort of elongated faces. That like the art style kind of turned some people off. Yeah, where like Clone Wars, the first animated show, had that kind of Greek. Grecian urn style animation.
Yeah, Tartakovsky, you're talking about that first one, right? Not the Filoni one that we also love. That one, yeah.
The 6-part series, which I actually think is great.
Yeah.
It takes a very specific style, but I think it's very franchised. It's like it's a good franchising of Star Wars. I think Rebels better, but Resistance just seems like you're forcing us to fall in love with like a subplot that we might not be super interested in. Last thing I'll say, in the Shakespeare play Hamlet, okay, there's two characters in. God, I'm gonna get
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Right. Yep. There was an entire very, very, very successful play about just them.
Yeah, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Yes.
Yeah, love it.
That's kind of what we get with Resistance a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's it's like here's like these little subplots that are obviously not part of the core that we're going to put all this effort and all this energy into to try to develop. And I appreciate the effort, but for me personally, it falls a little flat.
I'm with you. I think that it's interesting when you think of the Clone Wars. That came obviously after the prequels, and before we got the new movies, and before the announcement that there were going to be new movies. And so I think that there was something about that series in particular.
That's a good point.
That was very special because there was no Star Wars.
Where it was also redemptive in a way, right? It was geared towards redemption.
And it was like really going in on the journey of Anakin. It was something that we all wanted to see in the movies that maybe some people felt they didn't get. And I really think this is what it is for me.
It's a great point.
The Clone Wars were the only thing out there as far as some Star Wars material, live action or animation or otherwise, right? There was still the expanded...
A lot of novels and stuff.
A lot of novels and stuff and everything. But now, to your franchise point, I think it's right on the money. It's also... there's so much of it that I'm like... It's not... Saw Gerrera, I know, popped up in the movie Rogue One. He was from the Clone Wars. Forrest Whitaker did the part. That's the only... And gotcha. Correct me if I'm wrong, everybody out there listening or watching right now. Has there been any kind of references? My point being is that there's all this material out there, and I want to read a lot of it. But there's a part of me that's like, none of it's going to really show up in the movies, is it? None of it, like this, is this going to pay off in the movie?
Right.
Are we going to get like a plot line that can maybe be expanded on?
Where everything else usually did show up in the movies.
Where everything usually showed up in the movies. I mean, you know, we loved the Thrawn novels, the Timothy Zahn novels that came out, and because we didn't have any Star Wars.
Yeah,
and we got this idea that wait a minute, there's stuff that this takes place after Return of the Jedi. Cool, that's something because there's nothing else out there. And you're getting your Star Wars game on. You're able to read that stuff. Now, everywhere you turn, there's a Vader comic that's doing something that I don't know where they're going. There's the other Star Wars line of comics. And these are things Afra, Dr. Afra's out there. There's so much out there that I want to devour it all. Don't get me wrong. But the time that I have to give to other material is pretty small. The workloads that we both do, you know, what can you do? I just think that it's hard to follow along when we've heard the narrative. We've heard the conversation about Kathleen Kennedy. That's not on her agenda. You know, her agenda is make movies, right? And so I've heard that it's like those offshoots are just they're not really tying into anything.
Yeah, look, which is like it, and this
it's
worries
a bummer
me.
to me.
Yeah, look, and this worries me a little bit about The Mandalorian. And like, I'm going to drop an Easter egg right now. I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
But Riley and I heard something about The Mandalorian.
We sure did.
That should be dropping any second now. It's not our scoop, so you know,
we're
well
not
done.
gonna...
Well done to the reporter that got it. Mm-hmm. We heard about it. After they did, but look, we play a clean game here. Yeah,
we play a clean game, and we should probably preface this by it's not like story details or it's not like speculation or something. There's something coming that's going to be like, oh, shit. So just with that, you'll see the news. Believe me.
So look, I'm totally with you. It's like back in the day, there was this role-playing game, which was a Star Wars role-playing game that was really friggin' cool.
Yeah.
And it was one of the first expanded universe type things that came out. It came out before the Timothy Zahn novels, and it's like it was like,
starting to
I think it was made by here's going to be another gotcha, but I think it was made by SSI, the company. I'm not sure, but I still have the original books at home. It basically was like how we were introduced to a bunch of concepts like Dathomir,
right.
And like I believe kyber crystals, I believe holocrons. So like a lot of that lore that's a really embedded into Star Wars now. A lot of it came from this Star Wars role playing game, and it's like imagine if back then they would have made the Star Wars role playing game, but they would have said, you know what, the Star Wars role playing game is only going to be about the Jawa versus the Sand People. That's it.
That's so cool.
That's all you get.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What happened to the rest of Star Wars? No. Forget the rest of Star Wars. This is
it's like, so funny. It's such a great reference. Yeah.
You have to love the Jawas and you have to love the Sand People. There's a lot of great stories in the Jawas and the Sand People.
But I want Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, and it's okay to want Luke Skywalker.
Yes,
it's okay to walk into McDonald's and want the Big Mac.
Right.
You can have the McRib and you can have the special Tennessee whatever, but it has to have the Big Mac.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of these expanded, whatever they call them now, these canon offshoots, just don't have the Big Mac.
Yeah, and to use the word canon is, Knapsack walks in with a great shirt the other day saying this shirt is canon.
Right.
And it's such a perfect kind of like these things are canon. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? It's not popping into the movies, which is the canon. The canon is always centered around the movies. If the movies are
I see your point,
the big dance, the Super Bowl, the everything, and these other books and comics and video games are canon, what are they, the playoffs to the
Right.
Super Bowl that
Right.
have nothing to do with. It's hard to follow. It's hard to. It's
But they're
hard to
not
get
even
excited.
that clearly connected with each other.
Yeah, that's the thing I got because
It's
immediately.
like, Bloodlines explains that. The blah 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 explains that. Or the Canto Bight novel makes that Canto Bight scene a lot better. It's like I'm not reading the Canto Bight novel, mate. It's not happening.
Such a perfect example. That you shouldn't have to read the supplementary material for the movie to be better.
Yeah.
That movie should just jump out at you immediately.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's okay.
And then you read the stuff to enhance. That's my take.
Yes. So look, that wasn't the topic.
That wasn't the topic. No.
Now, God, I wonder if the topic is a little too negative.
Well,
it's worth talking about.
It's worth talking about because it's something that. Well, first let's put a pin on the canon talk. I think that there's stuff out there that's really good. To your point about Bloodline, I enjoyed the hell out of the book because there are certain books that people are like, you got to go read.
Sith Lords, I've heard, is a really good book.
Sith Lords was fantastic.
Okay, I've never read that one.
Yeah, that one you would
That's
dig.
the one Christian always recommends.
You would dig that one. Bloodline was great. Lost Stars was great. There are certain ones that just don't get me, and until I hear from like your Christian Harloffs and Ken Knapsacks, I was like, you got to read this book. I'm waiting for the movie. I'm waiting for The Mandalorian because I'm always kind of a live action guy. I love the characters of Star Wars. I love it when it's cinematic.
There's one thing I want to talk about with Mandalorian.
Okay. But yeah, we put a pin on that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Go to The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Look, we've talked about that forever. We can talk about that again. But man, I loved that picture of George Lucas on the set of The Mandalorian.
Right.
And what I loved about it the most, I think, was that if you notice in the picture, George Lucas actually has the light on his phone so that he can light up him and Favreau, right? So that the picture can be clearer.
Get a little bit of lighting on the set.
Which leads me to believe, the conjecturist in me leads me to believe that they tried to take that picture multiple times. and they couldn't, it was too dark.
So he pulled out his phone to give us a special edition.
Yeah. So he pulled out his phone to enhance the lighting of the picture.
Yep.
And you can see that he's trying to not pretend like the phone is not there and do the smile. But anyway, that made me smile.
That made me smile too.
George Lucas. First of all, George Lucas on set makes me smile because it makes me question some of the vitriol that I think exists between Lucas and Lucasfilm.
Film, yeah.
And seeing him, I saw him at the Han Solo premiere. I was, there feet away from him, and I thought that was great. And now he's on set. So there does seem to be a relationship between Lucas and Star Wars that I want to learn more about.
Yeah, I took that picture. I went, wait, he's on the set of The Mandalorian. That's great.
Yeah.
I really got excited because I kind of posed this question out there. I think it was online, Twitter and whatnot, is that could we be seeing a little bit of a shift where he is getting a little bit more? Is that your Dave Filoni, who did work closely with him,
right?
Who is an executive producer on The Mandalorian along with Jon Favreau and directing the pilot. So we got Filoni in there, worked tirelessly with Lucas on the Clone Wars. Maybe this is a really good sign.
Or is it that guy who wakes up in the morning and scrolls through his phone, looking at Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, and says, maybe I should text her. Maybe I should text Filoni and see if I can get back. Maybe it's him trying to make those baby steps, changing the tune of his song that he said on Charlie Rose,
right.
which was to step away from the whole thing.
Yeah.
Maybe he's having a little regret with that. Maybe he's trying to get back in the mix.
He might be, because if you show up on the set, you're George Lucas, you don't think these guys running that ship over for The Mandalorian aren't going to go, what do you think, George? I mean, they'd be out of their mind to not go, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's showing up there, for me, is a
I think it might be
sign.
So first of all, absolutely, but I think it might be because what do you think, George, implies that Star Wars still wants to get his opinion, right? Where I think Star Wars has been very comfortable without his opinion. Lately.
Obviously, they have, yeah.
I think it might be more of the other way around, where he's saying, "Hey, Filoni, what's up, bud? Like, can I swing by the set? You know, like, can I fly to London or wherever it is they're filming it?
Yeah.
Are they filming Mandalorian in London?
I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, gotcha.
Yeah, gotcha. I can't believe you don't know where they're filming it, Riley.
Right.
All caps, send, tweet, 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 yell, tweet, sleep.
But yeah, he's calling Filoni and Favreau and saying, "Hey guys, like, I'm free tomorrow. Like, you want to go grab a coffee? Mm-hmm. You know, can I go check out the set? I'd love to check out the set, especially if they are using some of his source material for the Bounty Hunter show, which, again, you made a tiny little snafu last week. You called it 1313, which was the Bounty Hunter video game.
Yeah.
And every other comment was
I know.
But yeah, there was a Bounty Hunter television live action show that was developed by Lucas that supposedly they used some of that material for The Mandalorian.
Right. That's what we've heard, and why wouldn't you? You have all that stuff, characters, whatnot, previs stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see why. I mean,
but which way do you think it is? If you had to bet, do you think it's Star Wars reaching out to Lucas, or do you think it's Lucas trying to get back in the fold, or missing? Because let's think of it like in the. And look, I'm not just using this analog because I think it's funny. I'm using this analog because this is directly what Lucas used on Charlie Rose, is that he compared his relationship with Star Wars to a relationship between a man and a woman. And he said
like
sometimes it's better to just have a clean break.
Yeah.
And not see her anymore. That's something like that is literally what he said.
yeah.
So in this scenario, is Star Wars, the woman, according to Lucas, calling him because she misses him? Or is it he calling her because he misses her?
I wonder if it's a little bit of both. Like, and I don't mean to not pick a side, but when you think about the relationship he had with Dave Filoni.
Right, they have kids.
They have kids, right? The Clone Wars is their offspring, right? Yeah. I think they're on a good speaking terms, and I think that it's, how are you doing? You should pop by. That kind of stuff. Right. I don't know if it's
if
that.
You're around.
If you're around.
Yeah. Do you mind if I be
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's mutual. I think that Lucas is, just him showing up and Favreau looking like a kid in a candy store standing next to George Lucas. Just this huge smile.
Yeah.
I think it's both.
So
I
look,
think they could reach out and go, hey.
Let's go one layer deeper.
All right. Ooh, I like this.
Is it, though, more clever than that, or more perhaps cunning than that, which is, hey, this is the PR guy or girl. Say, hey, Lucas, can you swing by? Let's make sure we get that shot, and let's make sure that the light is bright enough. Hey, George, can you... not George coming up with the fun part to turn on the lights. Like, hey, George, do you have a phone on you? Can you...
Yeah, can you light yourself?
Can you light yourself?
Flying in the phone.
Yeah. Oh, actually, or better yet, hey, George, here's my phone.
Yeah.
Here's the light on it. Can you,
oh, God,
point this over you? Is it a PR ploy?
I wouldn't be surprised. Because, listen, The Last Jedi, Solo's failure at the box office.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chatter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fan divisiveness. Obviously, people are doing YouTube videos like going, "Yeah, you ruined my life." Whatever it may
It's like
be.
Force Awakens and Rogue One. I think everybody kind of liked.
Yeah, I think generally across the board, everybody was pretty much in.
Like, I didn't love The Force Awakens. I
Right.
really enjoyed Rogue One. I didn't love The Force Awakens, but I didn't I wasn't going crazy about it, right? But Last Jedi and Han Solo are kind of lumped together as this
Right. They are. They
Yeah.
are. It was almost like, we had what's the kind of reference? It's like, reintroduced to Star Wars Force Awakens, honeymoon phase. Rogue One is like marriage is good. Last Jedi is like we're on the rocks. Right. Solo divorced.
Right.
It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So I think it could be. Man.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Is it a PR ploy?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey George,
hey
George, can you turn on the light on the phone? I can't see your face. Use my phone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Kathleen Kennedy, who does have I don't know if she has a good relationship with Lucas or not. I do know that Lucas went to her and said, "I want you to run Lucasfilm."
Yeah.
Is there something there?
Her, yeah.
Handpicked her. Is there something there? She's like, "George, you want to come out? check
She
it
also
out.
did say, I have so much respect for everything that Lucas did and these characters that he made, and he's going to work and he's going to be very involved in everything. She also said that.
She also said that. I know. I'm rolling my eyes because it's like, not really, huh? Let me throw another one. Let's go a little deeper here.
Okay.
Set for The Mandalorian in California. Okay?
Oh, okay. So it's being shot here.
It's being shot here, and I'm trying to find exactly where it's being shot. Because I'm wondering if it's...
We're trying to break into the set.
You're breaking into the set? Yeah. We'll find it. We'll go and just steal a bunch of stuff.
Creep outside. Is it possible that they're filming it right here on Disney lot?
I'm trying to find it without going away from the mic and having horrible pauses in this, to find out. It says series being shot in Southern California. So there it is.
Yeah. So look, it's within the realm of reason that it's being shot at the lot. I doubt it, though, right?
I doubt it. I think it's somewhere.
There's big sound stages there.
There's big sound stages, but you never know where it is. I was wondering if it was up north, so it's just a hop, skip, and a jump for Lucas because.
Look, if it's being shot in Southern California, you can probably predict a lot of desert type terrain.
Could be, yeah. These are big sets. I'm looking at some sets. It's a big lot. Yeah, I don't know. There's trees surrounding it. This looks like a big area. What's that one? You never know. I mean, I see a big parking lot there. It's looked like something they built. So
Right.
I don't know. With this
we should
whole
try
thing,
to go there.
We know people that can maybe get us on the set.
But nobody gives us access.
No, not with that.
So, look, I'm the owner of Collider.
You are.
And you're Riley.
Yeah.
And we're always relegated to +1s.
That's very true.
Yeah.
We
always get the +1.
Let's make this happen.
We never get the invites.
Not the invites.
So look, another piece of
+1s.
housekeeping, okay? Now that we're putting all the cards on the table.
I love this. We're just putting everything out there.
We're not Disney shows. Okay?
No. I love that narrative out there that still happens from time to time.
And Disney, if you're listening to me right now, I would happily take Disney money to promote your films. Happily.
Absolutely. I will take it. Do you know how much a wedding costs? I will take that freaking money.
Right.
I did that. The first Riley Roundtable was Confessions of a Disney Shill.
Nice.
Because I wanted to go right at that. Because it's like, where in your, how? Right. And somebody is pointing out that, no, it's proof that, Disney did pay somebody for a good review. And, there was something that came out years and years ago. And we're going to get gotcha'd on that. This is going to be the new thing. Gotcha. Right. Hashtag gotcha.
Right. I want to see a little gotcha, something fun with the original art of the movie. Gotcha.
Yeah, right.
Check out that movie, Gotcha.
But that there was something, I'm not going to look it up because it's just ridiculous because to bring up that was an outlier of whatever happened there. To think that we would get paid or even, people's thoughts here in the Collider family of whether it's Solo, The Last Jedi, Force Awakens.
And we did do that thing with Denny's and for Solo.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was just fun.
People were calling us out for that, and it's like, oh, you don't want to go get free food at Denny's and eat and do a show there?
And look,
be cool?
and make sponsorship dollars that help fund the business and pay people's salaries and keep the dream alive.
That's what was the biggest. That was hilarity to me.
Yeah.
When you call us out for being shills and now we're at Denny's and whatnot, it's like, that this was a sponsorship.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Look, and it's not a coincidence that the Black Panther rides on top of whatever it is, a Nissan. What is it in the show? A Toyota, a Nissan, and Black Panther that they're riding on top of?
Yeah, it was an Audi or a Nissan or whatever. I know what you're talking about.
Whatever. It's not a coincidence that it's also the same car that's in, the Winter Soldier that they're riding on top of that.
Yeah.
It's not a Audi maybe, or in Spider-Man: Homecoming it's an Audi. That's not a coincidence that it's also an Audi in Iron Man.
Yeah, these sponsorships they give to these movies, that's some extra stuff for the budget to give you some more effects to maybe get that actor you really want, with the $20 million payday.
It's part of the business.
It's part of the business. And I'll say,
but
gotcha
anyway,
all
we
you
are
want.
not. Yeah, we are not currently sponsored by Disney. But if anybody from Disney wants to talk business, my phone is always turned on.
We will leave your phone number in the comment section below.
Yeah.
I don't. That to me,
look,
that narrative
first of
is
all,
hysterical.
We've been at this for a minute, and we still haven't talked about our main topic.
Haven't gotten our main topic.
So
We're
like I'm
gonna do
thinking
it
to
right
myself,
now.
what's going to be the title of this podcast if we haven't gotten to the topic until like
Maybe we have this.
Okay.
I'm going to go right into it. Mark
Yeah.
Hamill
Okay.
goes on
All
a
right.
tweet.
Okay. You're right.
Instagram, all caps, "The Force killed Luke." I
Yeah.
wonder if that's the title. "You have to acknowledge the irony in
First
his
of all,
fate.
it's a great title.
Almost like an addict that kicked his habit, cold turkey, remained clean for decades, only to reuse just once and then tragically overdoses." He shared the last panels of The Last Jedi comic adaptation.
Yeah.
And he hashtags sad Skywalker, hashtag force fatality,
Yeah.
hashtag Jedi junkie. This was tongue in cheek from Mark Hamill himself.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I read this and I went, what is he saying right now?
Yeah. So tell me, like, look, I have my own thoughts about this. What are your thoughts?
You
First of all, the comments, like if you don't follow Mark Hamill, go check it out on Instagram. It's Hamill himself, and it's his last post as of the recording of this podcast. It's currently got 4,700 comments, and this is an incredible fun read. Or some of these comments are friggin' hilarious.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go in because I did see some.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole show where it's just reading
The comments.
on Mark Hamill's posts and Star Wars posts, because like, oh my God, it's just it's incredible. But anyway, I'm sorry. Your reaction.
My immediate reaction is Mark Hamill still doesn't like what happened to Luke. That's my immediate
That's
reaction.
the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, enough said, yeah.
And then my immediate reaction after that is like, you're stirring up that you're continuing to
Yeah.
Invite
Right.
fans to come in
And it begs
who
the question,
didn't like
why? Yeah.
why. Yeah, that it's hard for me. I'm going to say, because we're on two sides of this table. I'm on one side, you're on the other,
Yeah.
and that is exactly where we are with The Last Jedi. We are on two sides of it, and that's
completely different sides,
Yeah,
but
and we
it's-
can still have a
Yeah.
conversation and really love Star Wars.
Sure.
This to me is like you're still going.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, we know he's going to be in Episode 9. That was in the announcement from Disney.
Right.
They didn't even hide their cards this time and do the JJ
Yeah,
mystery
but I don't
box.
think they have a choice. I think at that point, like he finally feels so confident in his position in Star Wars that they need him to be a Force ghost or whatever it is that he's going to be, that he doesn't care.
Oh, I'm going to bring up something because I read something the other day, but we're going to get there. I'm going to put a pin on that right now, tease it for a little bit, about 5 minutes,
Right.
and we're going to go there because it has to do with Episode 9.
Insert Disney commercial break right here.
Insert Disney commercial break. I'm going to go ahead and count my money from Disney real quick. Got it. It's all there. But this, I'm like, because here's the thing. I did go into those comments, and I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Here we go again. And
Yeah.
it just...
Stirring the pot.
He's stirring the pot. And I'm like, why? Why?
Why? It's a good question.
Well, I know. I think I can know. I know why. He fundamentally disagreed with the character that Rian Johnson
Yeah.
wrote for him.
Basically,
And that's a quote. I mean, that thing has been played so many times. I can now memorize
with
that
everything.
quote.
I think the quote is, I fundamentally disagree with everything.
Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? I get it. If you don't like it, other people didn't. There are people that like The Last Jedi. I'm one of them. Somebody in the comments that you're talking about is, am I the only one that liked The Last Jedi? That's hysterical to me.
Right.
Because now it's far enough away where it's like, I don't care. If you guys are going to yell at me because I like a frickin' movie, have at it.
First of all, I enjoy that people like it.
Yeah.
It's fine that people like it. I don't like it, and it's okay for me to be frustrated with my favorite franchise because I didn't like the way it turned out.
Yeah.
But here's where I think this, again, so you set it up beautifully. Okay, now I'm going to go one level deeper into the depths of hell.
I love this.
Okay? The Force killed Luke. You have to acknowledge the irony in his fate. Okay? That almost seems like, oh, where are you going with this?
Yeah.
Where's this going, pal? And then he hits you with his honest feeling. Almost like an addict that kicked his habit cold turkey, remained clean for decades, only to use just once and then tragically overdose. So he's referring to a very sad and tragic reality that happens with people that relapse on
and addiction
cocaine
and how horrible it is.
Mostly on cocaine, on heroin,
meth,
on
what have
meth,
you.
like drugs that are have high mortality rates that people are successfully able to kick and then relapse. And then have no tolerance for it anymore, use the same amount of it as they did when they were active users. The body can't deal with it, and they die. And there's many, many cases of this, all tragic, all very, very, very sad, right? Hashtag sad Skywalker. So hashtag force fatality, hashtag Jedi junkie.
I do.
All three of these hashtags are incredibly negative.
Right. They are very negative.
Painting
the idea of bringing in what you just talked about, a junkie, overdosing, those are all negative connotations. They're all really, really hard.
Right.
To
especially one that leads to death.
That leads to death. Now, this is what's interesting to me.
Man, he really hates this thing.
That's what troubles me so much. But it also, he's commenting on the movie itself because Luke, he moves away from the Force. He goes to Octu, and he literally hasn't used the Force for a while. I saw a great thread once, a conversation online where it's like, what if Luke couldn't feel the Force anymore because of the tragedy of losing his pupil in a new Jedi Council and
but in the movie he literally says that he's trying to force the Force out of himself.
Right. And
that
so
he's
then when
consciously not doing it.
But then to go here and say, when Luke finally gets his, for lack of a better term, gets his mojo back,
he
right?
has no concept of the Force.
Braces the Force, does the most powerful Force move we've seen on film yet by projecting himself across the galaxy. That's why I love it so much, but that kills him, right? So he's likening the Force to a drug.
Yeah.
And then, but here's my problem.
Yeah.
If you didn't fundamentally like this version of the Luke Skywalker character in The Last Jedi, by putting this tweet out,
Instagram post.
He put it on Twitter as well.
Okay, fair enough.
Both. So just both. Putting on, gotcha, damn it. But just by going there, it's like, then I go, well, what about the original trilogy when he became one with the Force, he became a Jedi Master, he was able to overthrow the Empire, build the Jedi Temple again, more pupils, Padawans, what have you. This just bums me out.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I think his point is not my Skywalker. Hashtag not my Skywalker. I think that's his point.
I think it is his point, and I think he's continuing to drive it home with these posts. And it's a little frustrating on my end as a Luke Skywalker fan who also enjoyed the Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. I actually adore it. But here, I'm gonna change it a little bit here.
Yeah.
That pin. Take that back, go back to this. Because
I'm surprised you still remember that pin, by the way.
I remember the pin, I know. So I have all three books of the making of Star Wars. New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi by Rinsler. What's his name? J.W. Rinsler. Okay. They're my coffee table books.
I was about to gotcha on that one.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm trying to remember. Damn it, I don't want to be gotcha'd. Right. So I read those things every once in a while and just pick them up. And about a month ago, and I can't believe I'm bringing it up now because I forgot, but there's a section in the book, in Return of the Jedi in particular, where there's like script pages that didn't happen. And it all takes place at the end of Return of the Jedi, where he saves the Empire and all this kind of stuff. But he sees the Force ghost of Obi-Wan step out from the shadows of Endor. And he is no longer a Force ghost. And he said, because you defeated your father, or Darth Vader, and Anakin now has given, and I'm butchering this, like free passage, like my time, because I was killed by Darth Vader, I no longer have to be there because you put balance in the Force. And then guess who steps out of the shadows is Anakin Skywalker, and Luke Skywalker hugs him. So no longer a Force ghost.
Hold on, say it again.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
gotcha.
Say it again.
Gotcha. Basically, there was some exorcised pages, something that Lucas thought about, never did for Return of the Jedi, but that the Force ghost came back to life.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yoda, Anakin.
Yoda, Anakin, and Obi-Wan came back to reality where Luke
Corporeal.
hugs Anakin. Corporeal, exactly. Hugs him. Got rid of it for whatever reason. I got to go back. I want to get it. Goes back, and I'm reading that, and it just occurred to me that as we're talking about this, could they, should they do that? Because Rian Johnson goes and finds this old book in the library at Lucasfilm about force projection, incorporates into The Last Jedi. I personally...
Is that true? Is that how he got it?
Yeah. Do you remember that post he did? He was like, he showed a bunch of books. He pulls a book. He opens the book, and they're all images, and then force projection. He got it from like supplementary materials that are like, I'm probably going to...
Probably not canon anymore.
I don't know if it's canon. Well, it's canon now. It's in the movie.
Right.
But yeah, so this idea that the Force Ghost of Obi-Wan can come back into pure corporal form, and Anakin can come and hug his son.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a...
So look, first of all, I feel like I'm having deja vu right now.
Are you having deja vu? I like this.
Because I am constantly amazed by the optimistic speculation that you have about specifically Luke Skywalker.
I'm optimistic, but
a lot of your speculation is about Luke Skywalker. You have a very strong attachment.
I love Luke Skywalker. He's my everything. He's my favorite character in all of the movies. Yeah.
So, are you telling me that even though it could have been better or whatever, the fact that you even got Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, and the fact that it is Mark Hamill playing him, and the fact that it looks, smells, and feels a little bit like Luke Skywalker was enough?
No, the story for me in The Last Jedi, why it got me. Now, mind you, the movie ends, and I'm at the press screening at Disney, and I walk out, and I'm like, I can barely breathe. I'm like, what did I just see? Like, what happened? I couldn't sleep that night. I wasn't troubled, but I was so profoundly affected. I had to think about this. I had to mull it over. I had to go, what did I just witness? And what I finally ultimately came to was beautiful for me as a character, because I think it's very real to have a character fall on some hard times. I do. I think it's very real to have a powerful master find failure again and have echoes again to a time long ago that his own father fell to the dark side, that then he's raising pupils and he's rebuilding the Jedi, and then another one falls and he goes, I don't want this circle to continue anymore. I want to end it right now and end the Jedi. I'm going to go off on an island and just disappear. And then he gets Rey to come to him and and finally get to him, that he then uses all the mighty power that is Luke Skywalker to force project across the galaxy to give them just a little bit of time for the Resistance to escape, mirroring what Obi-Wan did to sacrifice himself to Darth Vader for him to also get on that Millennium Falcon and escape the Death Star. There is something so poetic about it. I finally landed on this. Yeah. The love I have for that moment, the beauty I did see in that last shot, that when I see it over and over again now, because I go back to The Last Jedi a lot.
You can sit through the whole thing?
Oh, yeah. Even Canto Bight, my friend. Because I'm like, Canto Bight's, it sucks. It's...
Yeah.
You get there and you're like, it wears off the idea when you hear... I'm going to show the rich side of the galaxy. We've always seen the poor, the scoundrels, the scum and villainy.
But somehow they're not affected by everything else that's going on in the galaxy. Anyway, let's focus in on Skywalker for a second, because this is interesting. Because there's obviously, and I believe, that if you meet or had met Mark Hamill, and look, I don't know if you have or have not.
I have not. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm guessing that if you ever were to meet Mark Hamill, that you and him would get along famously.
I think so. Yeah.
But in the back of your head, you guys have this incredibly divergent opinion on Luke Skywalker. You know, And I think from his point of view, they didn't earn him stranded on an island.
Mm-hmm.
And they never really gave you the exposition. And I know we've talked about this before on this show. They didn't give you the exposition necessary, I believe, to make it something consistent with the character that they had established through the first 3 films.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's the disconnect that Mark Hamill ultimately feels, is that you're talking about the most optimistic guy in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
How did he lose all that? And you can't tell me it's because he had a fleeting glimpse of his nephew being bad and he tried to kill him in his sleep. That's not enough.
Yeah.
That's not enough reason why the most optimistic guy in the galaxy becomes a hermit. And I agree with you. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Arc, right?
Yeah.
As a character arc, here's a guy who was looking at the stars, become the most optimistic guy in the galaxy, and something happened and he lost all that optimism and went into hiatus and never found himself again until at the very, very end, he discovered his true reason for being a legend, and he sacrifices himself for so that they can have an extra 3 minutes to escape.
Right.
Okay?
Tragic character.
They didn't earn it.
Right.
I think that's Mark Hamill's point.
Yeah.
It's just I'm
know,
not convinced. He's saying, not me. I'm also not convinced. But Mark Hamill's saying, I'm not convinced this is Luke Skywalker. Mm-hmm. You got to show me. You got to explain it to me better.
And again, I get those. I get your side of it too. You know, and this is funny to go back to some of the canon material. You read the first chapter of the Last Jedi novelization. Luke is married. Luke is living on Tatooine. He has a wife.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And this is what happens.
Oh, this is a dream, though, right?
This is the dream, yeah. So I read this thing. I go, holy shit. What is going on right now? And then he wakes up and he's on Octu. And he's like, the Force just tried to tell me something. You know, it was showing him the life he would have had he never got involved.
Right. So then he wasn't completely alienated from the Force.
Right. If you want to take that book at face value.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, believe me, there's somebody put out an image of Chewie, Han, and Luke all standing together. It was a scene taken out of Force Awakens. They photoshopped Luke in from Last Jedi and then photoshopped a lightsaber in him. And this person said, this is all we wanted, and we didn't get it. And believe me, I saw that image and I went, yeah, right. I wanted that too. Yeah. I wanted that too.
So let's think about it from their side. Why not give it to us then? Like, what's the reason? I think there's only one reason, if you want to know my theory.
Yeah, I do.
There's only one reason, which is that they wanted to create a new franchise. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to create the new Big Mac, and they wanted to get rid of the Big Mac and go from the Big Mac to the whatever you want to call it.
They're handing the baton off, right? So you have the old characters.
But it's more than handing off the baton, because you can hand off the baton the way that James Bond hands off the baton.
Right.
You know, you can hand off the baton the way that Spider-Man hands off the baton.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more than the baton. It's more like, forget all this stuff. Mm-hmm. We're moving past this.
Right.
This is the new stuff. Mm-hmm. This is the new stuff. But what they forgot a little bit is that Star Wars was basically the movies. And, I don't know how people are going to react to what I'm about to say, but this is honestly how I feel about it, why I love about Star Wars. The movies, in George Lucas's eyes, were always a kind of promotional material, commercial, if you will. It's a horrible word, but a kind of, for lack of a better word that I can't think of right now, a commercial for the merchandise.
Yeah.
The merchandise was a huge part of Star Wars, I believe, from the original trilogy and the prequels. And it's not just me. You can look up the math on it. You can look up the data on it. There's a service called NPD that lets you know what sells at Target and stuff like this. Target is like the great barometer of all sort of sales at stores. Star Wars merchandise is in the gutter.
Is it?
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's just it doesn't. look, and you can say, oh, toys don't sell as much as they used to, or like whatever. Think about how many Star Wars games there were for every other movie. Like, there's only one Star Wars. I mean, there's a few weird mobile games, but there's really only one premium Star Wars game out there.
Yeah, Battlefront.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, before there was a marketplace that can sustain 5 or 6 or 7 different Star Wars games.
You're right. When the prequels are out, I mean, we talked about the Star Wars Racer. We had the
Bounty Hunter, Episode 1,
yes,
and like blah 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 blah. It just keeps going and going and going and going.
You're right. I can't answer that. I don't know because I'll bring up the fact that Force Awakens $2 billion.
And you're talking about Disney. Nobody has a better film to merchandise strategy than Disney. They invented it. They practically
Yeah, they did.
They practically invented it.
Yeah. And Lucas followed that model. He told Fox, yeah, you can pay me $1 million to do A New Hope. I get all the merchandise. And they went,
right.
Sure, buddy.
Right. He was following the Disney model.
And that created Lucasfilm and THX and Industrial Light and Magic and all that.
Right.
That merchandise built his empire.
And why is it that there's such a lack of the holistic nature of the franchise now? It's very, 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 very confusing to me.
Yeah. I mean, when you say holistic, like more like into the Jedi Sith?
No. More like here. So I'm more talking about, there was the sequels were always intended to have the final chapter of the original trilogy characters as their main cohorts.
Right.
Like that's what the sequels were all about, right?
Right.
At least in our own fan fiction that lasted for 20 years. I mean, this is like the sequels are always about the building of the Jedi Order, what happens with Han and Leia and their kids and all that stuff. It's 3 movies. You guys are going to make a movie a year for the rest of your life. Episode 7, 8, and 9 should have just been that. Just give us that resolution to Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Luke Skywalker. And episode 9 or whatever sets up Kylo and Rey and whatever. And then that's episodes, 10, 11, and 12, and nobody would be complaining about anything.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that.
It's just like
here's
they
what
tried to jump the gun a little bit.
I think Disney, and this is for better or for worse, and a lot of people will probably think for worse, and I actually think for worse as well. I kind of agree with you about this, but I think what Disney did is they really had an eye on finding the next Luke, Leia, and Han. Right?
Yeah.
They wanted
without earning it. Without earning it. I can see pros and cons of that. Now, I feel like they've earned it, but that's just me. That's my take. Sure.
And I'm with you.
I mean, they're earning it.
They're earning it again, and it's again, I always say, episode 9. Oh boy, JJ, do you have a tall order?
And look, for the record, I have very, very, very high hopes on it because I did like The Force Awakens, even though I do think it's a straight reboot, and pretty much after Han Solo shows up, the movie falls apart for me in a lot of ways. But I do love Kylo. I do love Rey. These are 2 great characters. I just don't think they've had great story built around them just quite yet.
God, I love those stories.
But
yeah, I see, and I'm on the opposite.
Yeah, but I think episode 9 is going to be great.
Yeah. I mean,
at least I want it to be great so bad.
I know you do. And I do too. And I would love, I mean, there's this weird thing. When I brought up the J.W. Rinsler book and what happened at the end with Luke coming, or, Anakin coming to corporal form and this, I was bringing it up like, will J.J. do that? I hope he doesn't, to be honest with you.
Because it's like, I think you're safe.
I think it would be just a complete retcon of The Last Jedi, and then you're going to.
There will be some retconning of The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I think.
Something has to give.
Retcon or fan service?
It's a good question.
Because I think you can do fan service without retconning everything that happened.
Okay, because look, and I know we've talked about this, which maybe means that this show maybe has lived its lifespan, because I think we've talked about this already. Mm-hmm. But Star Wars has always been like, everybody says, oh, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has terrible villains. Star Wars is the best villains. Like Star Wars is a franchise defined by its incredible villains. Okay, that's what Star Wars is.
You know why? It's because I think everybody can identify with having and getting a power and wanting to either use it for good or bad, and feeling the like, what would I do if I was all powerful?
Yeah.
Could you feel the siren song of going down that dark path?
And look, it's amazing because like I was watching Ant-Man the other day, and the Ant-Man villain I think is terrible, but they try
The original Ant-Man?
no the
Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Ant-Man and the Wasp. You know, even the original Ant-Man, like they try to create sympathies because people say, "Oh, well, Star Wars, you know, the villains are so good because they're intertwined with the heroes and they're related to the heroes, so it's not really a villain. It's just no, they're straight up villains. All these movies use the same tropes. You know, there's something special about the Star Wars villains. And one of those things that we've talked about on this show before is the rule of two, right? The namesake of this show.
Yeah.
And so there's two options. Either Kylo Ren takes on a new apprentice, right? And somehow that becomes part of the narrative, which could be cool, right?
Could be
he
cool.
He did say, you know, I could teach you, you know, what's the line?
I can teach you everything I know. Or?
No. I can show you the ways of the Force. You know, when he's telling her, like, you need a teacher. You know, you need a, you know, whatever. Like, so you could see that maybe, you know, there's, you know, like he's looking for an apprentice, right? Like,
I'd love it if he brings back the Sith.
I mean, there has to be an apprentice somewhere, right? Like, right? There has to be an apprentice.
Yeah.
Either he gets an apprentice, or they'll retcon the fact that just like in Dark Force or not Dark Forces in Dark Empire, that Snoke was some kind of clone. You know, and like cloning is part of the Star Wars thing. You can easily say he was a clone.
Yeah.
And you can show a scene with like another like gigantic Star Wars ship, First Order ship with like 500 Snokes floating in Bacta tanks, and then like a new some arm grabbing the new one and like putting him down and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like you can totally see that, and like if they did that, I'd be I can live with it.
Yeah.
You know, and then make it again the rule of two, Snoke to Ren. What do you think is going to happen with that? I mean, because you got to have two.
If I'm going to speculate and something I want Kylo Ren to go find an apprentice and say, I'm full blown Sith now. I got rid of Snoke. I killed him.
Like,
you know,
I'm going to finish what you started.
I'm going to finish what you started. Now, there's rumors of Palpatine showing up, right?
Not happening.
You don't think it'll happen?
I don't think it'll happen. No way.
I think the rumor is that there was that he finds a hologram with directions from Palpatine that came after the Empire
to the Palpatine's cloning facility.
I don't know, not maybe cloning, but I just think it would be interesting to see Kylo Ren get, whether it's a holographic message or a message of the Empire, about get an apprentice.
Yeah,
but
what's
getting that rule of two back.
What's Kylo Ren left with at the end of The Last Jedi?
Well, he's left with he's supreme leader, and he's got a full army at his fingertips, right?
So thought experiment. Just like they did with Ryan Johnson, they hand you the reins to Episode 9. Mm-hmm. You can't talk to Ryan Johnson, you can't talk to JJ. You're pretty much on your own. Okay? Mm-hmm. With no direction from anybody. You have a blank slate. Yeah. Which is pretty much, it seems, at least to us, that's kind of how it works, even though I find it very hard to believe. That's what it seems like to the fans.
Show for another time. Yeah. But yeah, I get it. Yeah.
What do you have?
Well, I would jump ahead for maybe 10 years.
Okay. At least that's a good Band-Aid.
Right? Band-Aid to hold together the shitstorm.
or Band-Aid to stop the bleeding.
Stop the bleeding. Okay. Because, I'm doing this. I'm going to echo some of the things that have happened in the past that Star Wars does. We jumped ahead 10 years from Phantom Menace to Clone Wars, right? Yep. To Attack of the Clones, which I thought was great. Because then it's like you have Anakin, Jedi Padawan, you learn a lot.
You jumped, I believe, a considerable amount of time, too, from Clone Wars to Revenge of the Sith.
I think it was only a couple of years.
Yeah. But it was a jump. It was a jump,
right.
Yeah. But it was all of Clone Wars.
And it was all of Clone Wars. Yeah. You're right. So the thing about the sequel movies is that we jumped an hour. You know what I mean? It's
not even.
Not even. Yeah. It was like we jumped, like, whew, look at the time. There's the dreadnought. You know, it's like it was just whew, right there. So I think that gives you a little bit of freedom to, if we know what we know, I would love to jump 10 years. And in the exposition that is going to come in dialogue and in circumstance and in, you know, set pieces, you can go and, Supreme Leader, I have news. Kylo turns around, right? Blah, 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 blah. I sent my apprentice. What happened to him? Whatever it may be, right? Right there, apprentice. Cut to, here's your apprentice. You introduce a new villain.
Right.
And in that, you realize, through dialogue, without beating you over the head with needless exposition, is that he has enacted the rule of two back, and he is a Sith.
Yeah.
He's gone full Sith.
And the First Order's taken over the entire
Taken over the entire galaxy. But now, we cut to our heroes. Rey is with a few Jedi.
To rebuild the Resistance.
Rebuild the Resistance. But here's what I would do if I had all the money in the world.
Broom kid's a little older.
Broom kid's a little older. Kylo turns around, says what he says, and then they leave, and he just sits back, and the darkness takes him, right? And then you hear Luke Skywalker, his voice. Come on, Ben.
Right.
What are you doing, Ben? And Kylo just loses it. Get out of my head. And he's going because what I've always wanted is Luke Skywalker.
Haunting Kylo.
Haunting Kylo.
Yeah, which I like that. I like that angle.
And that's Luke becomes a big integral part of this episode 9. But then we also see Rey meditating, lifting rocks, a little callback to Empire. There's Luke again. Good. Feel the Force flow through. What do you feel? What do you see? Good. Your next step is this.
Actually training her, not
training her.
Three lessons and now you're a Jedi.
Yeah, no. He's still training her.
Right.
And Rey, who has been a little bit of a version of Skywalker, a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? She jumps into action. She's a little bit like Luke was, like, I'm going to go and...
A little reckless.
Luke, you're still not listening. She's like, am I a master yet? Master. No, you're not. You're not ready to be called Jedi Master. You still have a lot to learn, whatever it may be. Her arc is to become Jedi Master by the end of Episode 9. She's still not there.
Right.
She's still helping rebuild. I don't see how or why you can't have Force Ghost Luke helping create more Jedi.
Again.
I know. You're doing it. Gotcha. You're going to the optimistic version of Luke Skywalker.
Yes, yes. So
absolutely.
So like, if I was a psychologist, which I'm not, but if I were a psychologist, I would say you have unresolved Skywalker issues. Okay, you have a certain amount of denial as well.
I freely admit this.
You know, because
I can right now.
Because if you had all the money in the world, and I quote, you said, if I had all the money in the world, your version of Episode 9 is basically Luke Skywalker as a ghost puppeteering the entire film.
Yeah, well, okay, I wouldn't go there. Now, I understand because based on that, you're going off of what I just said. But I wouldn't go there. I mean, you got to sparingly use Luke because then it becomes too much. And I'm with you. I'm going down that rabbit hole. But again, I think that there are things you can do, like Obi-Wan showing up and going, "Patience, Luke," offering wisdom when he needs it.
Sure.
Sparingly use it. So maybe I'm not doing Luke right at the beginning of Episode 9 with Kylo Ren.
Let me, because I know we're starting to get close on time.
We're going to have to wrap it up soon. But.
So where is Finn through all this? Because he's one of my favorite characters, and I feel like he's been done ugly, to be honest.
I think Finn, because of his... Yeah, he has. Especially in the second one.
One thing, just to take a trip back down memory lane really quick. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me go down my rabbit hole. When I first started seeing art for The Force Awakens, and it was after that first teaser trailer, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
The one that, like the famous one, the one that has Snoke narrating, and you see Finn pop up. And
that's a great one.
It's a great one.
The very first look at Force Awakens.
The very first trailer, I think, is excellent. That's one thing about Star Wars. They always have the best trailers.
They really do.
And look, and back to... to the great John Williams. It's the John Williams music that brings them all together always. But I always thought that there was some art that came out for Finn before the next trailer came out that had Finn with a lightsaber hilt, with Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah,
hilt.
he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he uses it in the movie, and
That's where it came from.
In
Yeah.
the second trailer, you actually see him using it. I was convinced
He was a Jedi.
that the story, because they were actually teasing it on Rebels, which I believe had already been out before Force Awakens came out.
Rebels?
I believe Rebels came out before Force Awakens came out. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I think you're into it for a gotcha moment. I don't know.
No, because I'm thinking about a very specific episode.
Yeah, let me put, when did Rebels debut?
No, because there's a very specific episode that I'm thinking about.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that had Ezra,
October 3rd, 2014.
that had Ezra hanging out with some stormtrooper cadets.
Right,
you
right.
know? And there was like a rumor.
Oh, yeah, that was Finn.
Yeah, or Finn's dad.
Finn's dad, whatever
or
it was.
somehow it was connected to Finn,
Yeah.
right? But what I really liked about it was that the whole premise of that episode was actually that one of those cadets was Force sensitive.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that The Force Awakens was going to be about a stormtrooper becoming a Jedi. And that it was going to be Finn. It was all going to be focused around Finn.
Because when you say, have you felt it? You know, and it's like, and he pops up. And when I hear the name Force Awakens, and he pops up, first thing we see, I'm like, the Force awakened in him.
I think everybody thought that.
I think everybody did. Yeah.
And John Boyega is such a great actor, and like that's what I thought. You know, so like Finn in the movie Force Awakens, he's great. He's the funniest character. He's the most lovable character. He's the closest thing you get to like a true Han Solo character, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was absolutely mesmerizing in The Force Awakens. Completely horrifically played ugly, I think, in The Last Jedi. Where does Finn go in Episode 9 with all this other stuff going on?
You know, Finn's journey.
Does it get worse, or does it go back to Force Awakens?
I want it because his journey was always like, do I have a home? He wanted to run as far away from the First Order as possible. And by the end of The Last Jedi, he's like, I'm now a rebel. I'm taking you on. I would love to see Finn now be in a position of leadership within the Resistance. I would love to see him be like General
They haven't
Han
really set
Solo.
that up, though, have
They
they?
haven't set that up yet, but if we do a jump, I think you can finagle that in there, massage that way in.
Just to be more mediocre?
I hope not. I hope that he really does have.
They got to find something for Finn that's meaningful.
Yeah. I think now would be a great character arc is that he was trying to run away, you know? Now he's taking the fight to the Resistance. I want him running towards the First Order.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that loves the idea of some intrigue, some spy work. Finn is like deep in a pocket undercover.
What's the last thing
Just
we
like
see?
Lando in Jabba's palace, right?
Oh, okay.
We start to
that
see
could
him
be-
in
that could be
masks. We
something.
start to see him like
Leia,
Force,
Lando.
like yeah, you know, the First
Bounty
Order.
hunter,
First
maybe.
Order is taking over this section of the galaxy,
He's
right?
undercover, he's undercover. Yeah.
He's in there, and then all of a sudden, this great moment happens where the First Order is like doing some shit to some people, and they're like pushing, and they're being the tyrants that they are, and then all of a sudden, it's like. Boom, and then dun, 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 and then everybody's there.
Yeah.
Finn reveals himself, and it's this coup,
God.
and then boom, he's there, and he just
went-
takes it out.
So he went from being what I thought was going to be the next Luke Skywalker to being the janitor.
Yeah, and I think that what I just said, I think is a great idea. I'm
First of all,
sorry.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot
think to
too.
be deep
I'm with you.
undercover somewhere.
What's the last thing we see him do in The Last Jedi?
Rebel scum knocks out Phasma, goes and picks up Rey.
No.
Or gets back.
No. Way later. I mean, look, because we see him obviously do that.
Oh, he hugs Rey when she has the rocks everywhere.
The kamikaze thing. He hugs her.
He hugs her. They get in the Falcon and they fly off. You're talking about
I
Finn.
can't even remember the end of The Last Jedi right now.
You're gonna have to watch it again, my friend.
Right. I can't even remember it. Gotcha.
Gotcha. And that's a
I
great.
can't remember the end of it. I mean,
she moves the rocks because he's in the base.
Yep. They come out.
They come down when the shuttle. Him and
The last scene though is Broom
No,
Boy. The last scene is Broom Boy.
Yeah. Oh, Finn's about to commit suicide to save them.
Yeah, we all know that. So fast forward.
Kelly Marie Tran.
What's the
Rose
last thing we
saves
see
him.
Finn do?
Well, she saves him. Rose does. He drags her to the entrance. They're about to get in. Luke shows up, does his thing.
Yeah. But fast forward, like
They run through.
literally the last thing you see Finn do in
Hugging Rey
hugging Rey
before they get on the Falcon, and then he's with everybody on the Falcon.
Oh,
He opens the drawer to get a blanket.
Gotcha.
And there are the Jedi texts.
There are the Jedi texts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
maybe he helps her with the text or something. Look, maybe that's a way that you rebuild the franchise, right? Is like with the text. So
I love this speculation. In fact, I would want to tease this and see if you want to do it for our next episode.
Okay.
We continue this conversation of episode 9 of what we would like to see. Some of the characters that we maybe thought didn't get enough to do in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
How would you do them? Much like I said, I want Finn to be deep undercover somewhere in the galaxy.
Yeah. I like that for Finn. It's something.
It's something.
Yeah.
But
I want Poe Dameron to pay for his war crimes.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Anyway.
And that's a podcast for another time, and that'll
Yeah.
do it for Rule of Two, because this has been a long one,
has it?
we're wont to do. We're over about an hour and 25 minutes
All
right now.
Whatever.
There it is.
Look, hopefully you guys like it. Leave comments.
Yeah, man.
Hit us up on Twitter.
Hit us up on Twitter, at Riley Around on Twitter, at Mark Fernandez over there. This is Rule of Two. This is on the official Podcast One feed for Collider Jedi Council.
Look, first of all, we love you guys. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
It's okay to give us critiques,
Absolutely.
know, as long as they come from a place of constructive criticism.
Keep it fair.
Keep it
Yeah.
fair. Keep it with love.
Keep it with love.
To quote Kanye.
Yeah,
right?
keep it with love.
You know,
keep
and-
it fair. We're having fun.
We're having fun. You
we
should
want
have
you
fun.
to
If you're
fun.
listening and you get, because some people are like critiquing us an hour in, so you're obviously already an hour with us. You're part of the family.
Yes.
You know, and families argue, we get that. But ultimately, it's all about love. It's all about Star Wars, and may the Force be with you always.
Absolutely. And that'll do it for Rule of Two. We'll see you next week, dropping Wednesday, every Wednesday on the Collider Podcast One Jedi Council feed. See you next time, and may the Force be with you.
Rise.